Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Water rescues along the U.S.-Mexico border are at an all-time high this year, especially in the Del Rio sector, just a few hours from San Antonio. Officials say the crisis at the border is far from over, but a recent program is cutting down on the number of migrants trying to cross the border. However, that same program is also facing widespread criticism. Eyewitness News reporter Vanessa Croy explains.
Water rescues have hit an all-time high for Border Patrol agents in the Del Rio sector.
We saw more rescues and more deaths this year than we've ever experienced.
And the last year, over 300, the largest number along the U.S.-Mexico border.
As a smuggler will smuggle these unaccompanied children and family units in between the ports of entry, they have no regard. In fact, the smuggler will not touch U.S. soil. They'll place them on a makeshift raft, an inner tube, and they put their lives at risk.
Border Patrol agents arrested over 860,000 migrants in the last year, 58,000 in the Del Rio sector alone. But with new policies in place, officials say those numbers are steadily decreasing. This in part due to the Migrant Protection Protocols, or Remain in Mexico policy, where asylum seekers wait out their time in Mexico until their immigration hearing, a program that's been widely criticized.
There's been roughly more than 10,000 people that have been sent back through Matamoros, Mexico.
Jody Goodwin is an immigration attorney in Harlingen and said migrants face many challenges while waiting in the camps.
People are expected to be able to navigate very difficult asylum proceedings without having the ability to be able to access counsel.
Including dangerous conditions across the border.
Roughly half of the individuals had already reported having been kidnapped or extorted, assaulted, or robbed.
But Ortiz said the MPP program is allowing more agents to return to the front lines instead of manning overcrowded processing centers.
Because it takes them off their border security mission, off those front lines, and leaves us exposed to those threats and vulnerabilities that exist.
Threats like human smuggling rings.
Those are the folks that are trying to make some sort of monetary gain out of the exploitation of the migrant. We're finding them in the trunks of vehicles, in the backs of pickup trucks, in tractor trailer loads. The migrant crisis is not over. We continue to try and manage that to the best of our ability.
Vanessa Croy, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.
Now, in the Del Rio sector, migrants are transported to Nuevo Laredo or Matamoros while they wait for their immigration hearings in the United States. And Ortiz said that the Migrant Protection Protocol program will soon be coming to the Del Rio sector, transitioning asylum seekers to Piedras Negras or Acuña.